Hey, and welcome to Mom's Weighing In. Today we are going to talk about stepping on the scale.
Okay, so we've stepped on the scale for the first time and kind of a 1 week. You're like a half a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a 1.5 week check-in. So, how'd it go?
Today my starting weight is 287, and today I stepped on at, I need to,
Write it down.
I don't remember.
That's okay.
I can check. But I lost 4.8 pounds this week, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Can't math on the spot.
Mm.
I can't, for sure. So my starting was at 340, and then I got on and it was at 332.6. So it was like 6.8 or something like that.
Nice.
Yes.
That's a really good week.
Yes, and that was my first, so that was 1 full week. And I think the success in that came from tracking.
Definitely, because I don't feel like I ate particularly well. I had three family parties, and one of them was all about ice cream. So I did not do super great, but I tracked everything, and there's success in that.
Yeah, I think just being aware of what you're eating, because even though you had the ice cream, you probably made up for it somewhere else. When you're not aware, in my experience, when I haven't been aware, I've gone and had ice cream and then gone home and had a giant bowl of pasta on top of it or something else. Mm-hmm. So it just like built on each other.
Yeah. I definitely came home and said, okay, I'm done for the day. I've had my 3 meals. I've had ice cream. I don't need anything else besides water. But that day we also went canoeing, and that helps for sure to get some activity in there.
Yeah. So this is actually my second go around with WW. And then my first go around, I lost about 60 pounds. So it was really successful. Mm-hmm. And my biggest success was being able to exercise, because then I could have that sweet treat or whatever I was craving and wanted.
Well, and you've always been, like you said, super physically active. So that's perfect for you. That
Yes.
gives you the motivation.
Yes. So we kind of have we have 2 different opinions on stepping on the scale. When we were talking about this episode, it was quite interesting because I am an avoider. Like, if I cannot step on the scale, I will. I don't want to be on it. I don't want to see what that number is because I don't like that number.
I'll ask her, how'd you do? And she's like, oh, I don't know. I haven't weighed. Like, how can you not know?
Yeah.
I grew up with my dad who would step on the scale multiple times a day. Every morning he'd step on. Every time he's gone to the bathroom, he'd step on. He wants to be very aware of his weight. So that's just normal to me. And I tend to do the same. In fact, this morning we've been redoing our bathroom, so my scale hasn't been out. So I hadn't weighed since Sunday. And I was super nervous. It's like, I don't know what to expect. And normally I have some sort of idea of how I've been doing. So I almost didn't do it. But
so that's
got
interesting.
on there and did good.
That's interesting because I'm nervous every time I go on the scale. So that feeling is actually the same. But you say that when you get on the scale more often, that you're not nervous because it's a fact of life. Like, yesterday you weighed this, today you'll probably weigh this. Mm-hmm. And if it's like a pleasant surprise, like, hey, I lost a pound today, awesome. Yeah, that's not for me. Like, it's every single time I get on the scale, there is a small amount of anxiety on the scale, which isn't fun.
Maybe you need to try every day.
I don't know.
Feed it in. Weight Watchers recommends once a week. And I don't know. I am willing to try it. But after today, like, I'd rather step on every day. I'd rather have no anxiety.
So do you think you'll keep doing every single day?
Not right now. Not while we're redoing our bathroom.
Oh.
Maybe when we're done and it's back out and normally, and I'm using my bathroom, it's on the floor, I probably will go back to that.
I won't. I will weigh in once a week. And because I think too, like, for me, part of it is that immediate, like, maybe it would be good because I'd be accountable for it. That immediate, like, I ate ice cream, now I'm up a pound. But if I can let the whole week go, then I cannot beat myself up so much for that ice cream.
And I'm kind of the other way. Well, today I wasn't perfect, but look, I still lost 0.2 or stayed the same, or I only gained a little bit, rather than waiting till the end and beating myself up the whole time because I wasn't perfect.
Yeah, there's definitely emotion connected with the scale in either situation. I have gotten on the scale and had a week where I've lost 13 pounds. And I was like, holy cow, I worked out. I did all these things. This was such a great week. So I was over the moon and just felt really good about myself and felt really, a lot of positive emotions came from stepping on the scale. And then there's been weeks where I worked really, really hard and I didn't lose even a pound, or even I've gained. And I'd get on that scale and I would just beat myself up until I was crying, even to the point. So there's definitely major emotions, I think, that are connected with the scale.
For sure. My first memory of stepping on the scale and remembering what I weighed was I was young, probably 8, and we'd go to my great-grandma's house, and the first thing she'd want to do is walk us into her laundry room, and then she'd have me step on the scale, and then she'd step on the scale. And she weighed less, and she wanted to weigh less, and that made her feel good. Looking back, I realized, like, that was kind of insane, but then it was just like, okay, like, I'm glad she feels good. Didn't ever make me feel good and that I weigh more than her, but it made me feel good to make her feel good.
Yeah, well, we kind of talked about this before, and I was shocked. I was like, you did what? You would go to your grandma's house, your great-grandma's house, weigh in every time you went there.
Yeah, and compare. It wasn't just let's go see how much you weigh. It was definitely a compare.
And you were a child.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moms. I have a daughter who would be that age. If I found out that somebody was taking my daughter into the bathroom to weigh her in comparison to how much they weighed, I probably would disown that person.
Throw a fit.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
There would be major, like, this is not your place.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying anything, like, it was probably normal for your mom as well.
I'm sure she did the same with her grandma. Yeah.
Like a cultural, almost, family culture.
I remember weighing in with my grandma and with my mom. There was less judgment there, less comparison, but weighing in and, oh, well, I weigh more than you, so, you should feel good. You're doing okay, But even like a middle schooler should not having to make their grandma or their mom feel good because they weigh more than them.
Yeah. So in one of my first experiences of dieting actually was with Whitney's family. We've been best friends for 20 plus years. We were in middle school when we became friends, and probably my first diet was my freshman year of high school. We did Atkins together, and
we would get together at my grandma's house weekly and weigh in. And this was not a judgment against each other. This was purely a judgment of how we were doing. It was just a group accountability, which is a lot healthier, I think.
Yeah, it was. It was a group accountability. It gave me a support system. It also taught me that I should be aware of my weight. So I grew up in everybody in my family was bigger. My mom was bigger, my grandma was bigger, and so being overweight was actually normal. And so it didn't really even occur to me because I was athletic. I wasn't huge, but I also could have used to lose weight. But it didn't even occur to me to try. And then we talked and like, okay.
And she met me, who's been trying her whole life to lose weight. Dieting, counting calories with my dad, Atkins with my mom.
And we're like the same size, we've always been
really close.
It's interesting because it seems like anytime I lose weight, Whitney loses weight. Anytime Whitney loses weight, I tend to lose weight too. There's been a couple times in our life where we've been in different spots, but as far as it goes, we've really kind of always been around the same spot.
Especially when we were younger.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So that was a really good experience for me to go and have this support system of people who wanted to see me be healthy. So I think that group accountabilities can be really good, but I don't think that they're good when they have to be a certain age. I think you need to be older. I still even wonder if a freshman in high school was too young. Because for me, I hadn't even hit puberty.
That's what I was going to say. Puberty makes a big difference. But I hit it right after we became friends.
Yeah.
So for me, it started a lot sooner. And my body was probably more ready. But the mental plays a part too. Not just if your body's ready, but if you're mentally prepared. And I think feeling like you have to diet when that's not what everyone else is doing isn't always the best.
No, and it gives you a connection to food as a bad thing from a young age.
For sure. And we've also talked about the dieting messes with your body. You diet and your body learns about starvation and wants to hold that body weight. So I started that off super young. My body always wanted to hold that weight.
Yeah, there's definitely like plateaus that your body reaches, and it seems like those are the plateaus that you remain at for a long period of time. And so when you're losing weight, it's like, well, maybe you stayed at 200 pounds for a few years in your life. Then it's really hard to get over that 200-pound lump.
I can even look back in life and say, okay, I was that for, this year in college, or right before I had a kid, I was that, or high school.
So that scale, it's tricky because it's more than just your weight and like I've had people say all a scale is how much gravity is pulling on your body or something today.
Which is true.
Yes, but it's so much more.
Yeah.
Because there's so many emotions and it's so complex, and everybody's coming from, there's probably a lot of people out there like Whitney who've been very conscious of their weight since they were young. And then there's people, I was even young, so I've been conscious of my weight. And then there's people who maybe are 30 and just realizing, hey, I'm not healthy. I need to get to a healthy stage. So
I have a friend who just barely got her first scale, and I just was mind blown by that. How can you not have a scale with you? Even when I moved out of my house with my parents into an apartment, I got a scale. Like, that was just a normal thing. As normal as a toaster or a blender or
to have a scale.
A dining room table. Yeah.
So curious, is this friend obese or not?
No.
So that's it would be an interesting study to see what effect on obesity scales have.
Definitely.
As and having that around you all the time, and that constant need to know what you weigh and to know where you are. My mom is just recently remarried, and her husband weighs himself often, kind of like your dad. Mm-hmm. And he's not a big guy. He's a pretty thin guy, and he'll just be like, oh, got to stop eating cookies this week and put on a pound.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, what? How are you able to manage to be like, oh, I can't eat cookies because I put on a pound? She's like, if I look at a cookie, I put on a pound, let alone get on the scale every day.
Well, my dad has a very healthy mindset with it all too, and he weighs so often. But I think a lot of it is because he's always checked in, and he's always been active and always wanted to eat healthy, and he fully believes calories are the way to go. If you count your calories and you eat less than you work, then you'll be fine and you'll lose the weight.
Calories in, calories out.
Yeah.
Lots of people believe in that.
And I think it's true. It can work for you. But I think you also need to work on your mindset with it. For him, he's already got a good mindset, so that's all that matters. But for me, I can start counting calories, and I've started counting on my phone, kept track of what I ate. By the end of the day, I felt like an awful person and stopped counting and ate more.
Yes, that one thing that I like about WW is that when you track something, even when it's something you shouldn't have had, maybe you had a ginormous piece of cake or something, you track it and you're able to kind of move on because you have those weekly points that you're like, well, I still have my weekly points. Mm-hmm. There's always, not always, because there is leeway. You can overeat.
Yeah.
For sure. Anyone can.
Definitely.
So have you ever been angry after getting on the scale?
If I know I'm going to be angry, I probably wouldn't get on the scale.
Okay. So that's
where I weigh every day, the number doesn't go up that much.
That's true.
I guess I can think of a time where I gained 3 pounds from one day to the next, and I couldn't figure out why. I mean, I know why, but it didn't make sense. It wasn't fair. It wasn't okay. It's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
But then the next day I lost that 3 pounds and was okay again.
Yeah, so I've definitely felt that anger. I remember particularly where I had been working really hard on dieting for 2-3 weeks where I really hadn't messed up. But my stress levels were so high that I there's no way I could have lost weight because of the amount of stress that I was under. And I wasn't putting into account that stress does play a fact into how much you weigh or into your body's ability to release water or release weight, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was so angry, and it wasn't the scale, obviously, because it is just a machine that I was angry at, but I was so angry at myself, and it really brought up some really deep emotions for me of self-esteem and self-issues of like, why do I have this need to be a certain weight? Like, what, like, you know,
why can't I be happy?
Why can't I be happy where I am? Because I wasn't in such an unhealthy position. I was in a place where I was like, it was kind of okay for me to be at a standpoint at that time in my life, or standstill, excuse me. But I was so mad that I wasn't losing more. It's kind of destructive.
Had you been losing quickly before then?
So this was right after we had sold our house.
Okay.
And so I had been losing pretty consistently. I'd spent the whole year and lost about 60 pounds. And then it stopped. But it really stopped because of stress. I still was exercising. This was a crazy stressful time.
You had a lot of other things going on to make you mad. It just came out with your weight.
I think you're right.
It wasn't just your weight.
Yes. And I think that I think I'd be naive to believe I'm the only person who's uses their weight as a gateway for other emotions to come out. Because it is easy to be like, well, I wouldn't be so sad if I didn't weigh so much. I wouldn't be so lazy if I could walk easier. Like, you know, so we can connect our personality flaws, maybe you could call them personality flaws, or you could connect our emotions a lot to, well, if I had just been born skinny and could eat whatever I want, that would be nice. Like,
definitely.
Those different things.
I don't necessarily put it with how much I weigh, but I'm upset, I'm going to go eat. I'm upset, I'm going to go get a Diet Coke, you know?
Yes.
So that affects the weight, and I put it more into the food rather than the number.
Yeah, so I'm not a drinker. I don't recreationally use drugs or, you know, so for me, it's always been food. That's always been my coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. You know, I think unconsciously exercise and being an athlete was my coping mechanism in high school, but I didn't know it. I didn't recognize, by going out and being on this team, I'm exercising and I'm able to cope with everything that's going on in my life. And so when those teams were taken away and I went to college and I didn't have that, that's when I was like, what's another coping mechanism? And because I hadn't connected the exercise as a coping mechanism, food. Quickly and cheaply, McDonald's dollar McDoubles became, I don't even like them, but how many have I ate in my life? Like, yeah. That became the replacement coping mechanism.
And now knowing that exercise can be your coping mechanism, do you use it?
Food is easier. As a mom, food is easier because if I exercise, I have to either get 3 kids ready to go for a bike ride or a walk or wherever. I have to get 3 kids ready to come with me, or I have to find time when they're not with me, or I can say, hey, Ben, take the kids. I'm going to go for a run or whatever it is.
And it's hard to do that. Use your time with your husband or your alone time to exercise.
Oh, yeah.
When it's hard. Our bodies are not used to it.
Well, and we've even made exercise programs where together we've been like, we're going to do this, this, and this. And we get really excited.
Social aspect.
Yeah. And we've gotten together and we're like, do we really want to exercise or should we just hang out? Or let's just go grab something to eat because it is easier. Mm-hmm. So, but I think we could talk about exercising and eating a whole nother day, and that's for a whole nother episode.
Definitely.
So the scale, like we talked about today, just kind of recapping, it does have emotions with it, but we need to remember that number on the scale does not make us a certain person.
Yeah.
Like, I would never judge you, Whitney, as being, when you've been your skinniest and when you've been your biggest, you to me have always been Whitney. Mm-hmm. And I've never looked at you and been like, oh, Whitney's big right now, I don't want to hang out with her. Like that.
Yeah.
No.
You don't see a number, you see me.
Yeah. And I think we always beat ourselves up that, everyone's going to know what that number is. Everyone's going to know what I weigh just by looking at me. and how disgusting I am, or how, we put in whatever word we want to use there, but really no one's doing that. Just ourselves.
It's just ourselves. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on Weighing In.
Yes. Join us on the next episode of Moms Weighing In, Goal Getter, where we're going to talk about setting goals.
We're going to talk about SMART goals, and we'll go ahead and set short and long-term goals with you.
Follow us on Instagram at Moms Weighing In.
And you can send questions and comments to momsweighingin@gmail.com.